Welcome to New Waterford. This map is situated on the East Coast, more specifically it's on Long Island, New York. And today we will be starting to build there. Using the normal settings, we are going to see if we can build a starter city. Luckily, we already have a water and electricity supply. Now let's get into the video. I'm wondering if I want to start out by making an interchange here or just integrating this road directly into the grid. And I think that's what I'm gonna do, the latter option. So let's see. I wanna let's get rid of this road. Like that. And are these, okay, so it does have a little bit of a curve in it. So I'm gonna start here. Okay, this does not look good. So I'm gonna turn off snap to zoning cell length, snap to guidelines, and snap to zoning grid. That way I can center it on this road. And it's still not working very well. I'll just make a good guess. Okay, so we turn on snap to 90-degree angles, and okay. There we go. And then I'm gonna turn on constant slope because I just think it looks better that way. Perfect. Wow, that actually worked really pretty well. So this is gonna be the largest arterial, and I just want to lay out a grid for this area. I want this area right here to be like the core, and then I'll have this area down here be more like farms and stuff like that. What's the grid size? This takes place on Long Island because, when you go out towards the east, the grids are typically smaller. So I'm gonna go 120 by, let's go 88. I like that.
Artlist.io.
Okay, this looks pretty good. I don't know if I want to actually use all this area. Do I want it to change direction? I feel like that would be good. And then we can start to make a change in the direction it's going. Let's start off with just something like this. And then we can have the grid, just follow that.
Artlist.io.
Okay, then my plan later is for me to eventually be able to go back and make sure everything looks smooth and just finish the grid so it just looks complete. It's a bit of a mess. And then I want to make it a little bit more rural over here. That way it's not just a sudden halt. Where do I want to start getting rural at? I'm thinking over here. As we get further away from this area, I'd like to kind of just, have bigger sized blocks and stuff like that. So let's delete this. And then we'll just go out as far as we can. All right, I like this. Let's do some finishing touches, finish the actual grid, because I'd like to actually make a road that goes along here. I'm gonna take a road, just a regular 4-lane road, and I'd like it to follow the terrain a little bit, just follow the coast, wrap it around. Okay, it's not happy. Okay. We're a little bit too close. let's have this just come right into here, which I will do by eliminating this. There we go. And then let's just upgrade this. I feel like this is on the wrong side. I don't know. Should this be a bridge? Yeah. To match the pattern, I want to keep it a little bit wavy though. So let's do that. Where do I want this to end at though? That's the question. Because there's like, I mean, maybe we could have a bridge somewhere sometime soon. You know what? I have an idea. Let's do a split thing. I know there's a name for this. I don't know what it's called. So, wait, why would I even do one of these right here? Hold on. Let's not do that. Okay. I think I'm just gonna upgrade this road right here. Okay. And then maybe at some point they would want to build a bridge or something. However, that's not any of my concern at the moment. Then I'm just going to clean up a lot of this because it looks kind of ugly. Just make sure everything terminates correctly. All right. Oh no. Okay, what's going on up here? Do we want to get rural again? It's supposed to be 120, but I don't think that's going to exactly fit correctly. Yeah, that's 56 meters. It doesn't really matter, I just don't want it going into here. These are some weird intersections. Okay, and then I want it to be down rather than sideways. Something weird is going on over here. It just is very messy. Let's fix this up. I don't know exactly what I want to do with this area yet though. Do I want this to merge into this bottom grid, or do I want this grid to merge into the top? At the moment it looks like this bottom one's going into the top. So let's continue that.
Music licensing reimagined.
Is this realistic? Somebody tell me. I don't think it is. But then again, most of the stuff I do is probably not going to be realistic. I hope it is. I hope it is. Okay, this looks weird. I feel like I could put a roundabout here. This is quite a concept. I'm just going to keep the game on pause because, you know, I don't want to waste all my money. Although usually I do keep it unpaused. I feel like we could make a cool little road here. Like a park or something. Okay. I don't think I like the idea of making it rural, because I understand that we do have a population of 0 people, and if this would have like a bunch of rural aspects everywhere. However, I don't know. I think we'll figure it out. Alright, what's next? The next thing that we need to do is apply power. Okay, so we have 4 options. We have the French one, which I don't want to use. We have the small one, Netherlands substation, and then we have the transformer station. I'm just going to keep it simple and go with the transformer station. Now, typically these are not placed on arterials such as this one. So, let's place this over here. All right. Now this seems to already be underground, so I'm just going to keep it there, you know, match the theme. I think that's kind of good. It's kind of looking weird. Oh, it goes down. Okay, there we go. And there we go. I really do not like this area. I don't know why. Okay, I think I'm gonna go like this. This makes me feel better about how it looks. Okay, this looks gross. I don't think I like the idea of a rural area, in my opinion. I'm gonna redo that. I think it's just gonna make things more complicated than it needs to be, because as we grow this city, we're just gonna be demolishing that area anyway. So it wouldn't make any sense to keep it. And then for the road names, like, what is this? It curves and it goes around. I have an idea. There we go. Okay, I like the way this looks. Now we just need to zone. And yeah, I wish we could get like these services in here first, because that's what I like to do. However, it's not gonna be too big of a problem. All right, I think I'm gonna go with the waterfront business. Let's start with just a few businesses. Let's go 4 in, like that. And then if anything's having some trouble spawning, yeah, I want these to all face the front though. Can we do a parking lot road? Okay, let's go with this. And let's just drag it along for both sides. And then I'm gonna turn off zoning on that. Now I should be able to. How do I know if it's working? Is it because these are here? Alright, well, we'll see if this works. Okay, well, people are moving into the right spots. And then I'm just gonna, like, place some of these in a low density business because I'd assume that some of the assets may start to get repetitive. Alright, this is actually looking good. And then I'm gonna take some residential. I'm hoping to get office in here, like once we've unlocked it. However, let's do residential on here. And then I'm gonna make sure nobody goes on these roads right here that are perpendicular with this collector. And then I'm gonna do the same for this side right over here. I left some zoning on these roads back here. That way it can still be more of a rural environment. I just don't want to make the grid itself rural because then that just allows for, you know, a whole bunch of stuff to happen that I don't want, like, you know, me getting confused. So let's not do that. And let's start zoning residential because these businesses, nobody is coming to them. Come on. I'm trying not to zone everything as I would like to, you know, build elementary schools and high schools and stuff. And we are losing money. We probably need some industrial zoning. That way we can create some jobs. I mean, obviously, we're gonna have a pretty industrial foundation as most cities do when they start, you know, not many offices. So the industry will be over here, I believe. All right, let's have our entrance far away from over here. because I don't want traffic to back up. Maybe we could put one right here and another one over here. Also, it is very hilly. But let's first just create the main collector. Alright, progression panel. So we have some important things. We can farm now. We have more roads. But more importantly, we have health and death care. And we also have garbage management. Let's worry about this. So in the game, death care is not working very well, frankly. So I have the mod that gets rid of it. And I still like to place these, that way I'm getting, the financial effect that I would receive from having working crematoriums and cemeteries. However, they don't do anything, but I still like to place them for a realistic effect. So let's start off with the basic health care clinic. I think over here would be a nice spot. What would look the best? I would like the southwest one because it just fits the vibe the best. However, we may have to modify it to fit in this parcel. Is it gonna fit? Probably not. This would fit here, but I wanted to have an elementary school there. I don't even know if that will fit either. Or unless we wanted it to go over here, because this might fit a little bit better. Okay, I know they just moved in, but sorry, buddy. Should this parcel be limited to only this clinic? We'll figure it out. So there's that. I want to either use this, Netherlands cemetery or the UK parish church. Okay, I think I'm going to place the UK parish church. We're getting about 5 hearses, 100 storage capacity, and it's only 40k.
Artlist.io.
Alright, I think this is probably going to be the best place. The parcel works nice. And I wish I could change the color of it because I don't know how I feel about the red roof. However, it's a small church, and I think that this is something that would be, realistic for this town. And then back to this. Ideally, you do not want a road coming around a corner because it would be hard for people to see. So let's go with this. Let's put one more. I'm going to create a node right here and just flip that. Let's get rid of some of these trees. Alright, now I think I'm going to use the platter mod to place some of this industry, and I have the option for all of this. I'm going to place some of the lighter industry over here just because it's a little bit closer to the residential area, and then as we get over here, I'm just going to do just basic industry, so whatever needs to be spawned will spawn, hopefully. And then maybe over here I can put some warehouses or whatever needs to be placed. Alright, then I'm going to look for a specific warehouse that I like to use. Alright, these are the warehouses that I like to use. I'm going to place a couple of them along here. And then just like that, I think we're ready to start spawning. Alright. Now let's get some power and water over there. Also, we're going to take this electric cable. We're going to place it above ground because that's the most realistic option. and we're going to draw it along the highway to the industrial area. So let's start right here, just like that. And then something that would be a little bit realistic for this area would be to have some sort of retention pond, as that would, stop any potential flooding and stuff like that. We're gonna flood. All right, I think I got a little bit carried away with making this. So in the meantime, I think I'm going to finish, I'm going to make more roads over here, and then I'm going to get some farming stuff done over here. That way we can start to make a little bit more money because we are currently in debt. We have fertile land, however, it's not the most fertile, so I'm going to just put livestock here. And we just need to make a road for that. I was thinking about making frontage roads, but I'm not sure about all of that at the moment because we don't have very much land. There's already this industry right here, which honestly could be a frontage road in itself, which isn't a bad idea actually. All right. I think we're gonna have to redo what we did here. I don't like this actually. I think that this would make a better frontage road. I'm gonna see if I can just select this and just turn off like plants and stuff. Okay, this is not looking too bad at all. Alright, let's finish this frontage road. That way we can add some farms along it, and then we already have access. I just didn't want to make more access points because then it just starts to get complicated and we get traffic. And who likes to deal with traffic? And then I'm just going to stop here because I'm assuming that sometime soon this highway is going to have to be redeveloped, and I bet that will be before we want to redevelop the farms here. We can add more industry along here as well. All right, so let's start with some livestock farming. I don't like it touching the road because then it just gets too close. Okay, that was kind of obvious. Yeah, I'm gonna take it as far as we can go. And then I also like it going in 90-degree angles, which is not what it's doing. So hold on, just bear with me. And then I want to leave space between the two farms, just like I did with the road. And I go about 1 unit back. I just wanted to make sure that this was parallel with this line over here, which is why I had it go outside of our city limits, so this is not permanent. If I could actually grab it. There we go. And I'm happy with that. And then we'll detail that later. And while we're out here, I was thinking about adding more industry because we still have a bit of a demand for it. So I think I'm just going to go with light industry again. And I'm just going to make some smaller buildings because as we get closer to the residential, I, don't want to cause pollution or anything. There's a lot of medium density demand right now, so that means I'm going to see if I can place just a little bit of it. I don't want to make all of it because it's not too realistic for a town of this size. I know I said I'd like to have office here. However, we can find other places for office. I'm just gonna go with the typical North American medium density row housing. To me, that just makes the most sense. We have unlocked the livestock processing facility. so we may place that soon. And then really quickly, I'm just going to go and finish zoning a little bit more of these areas because we have the demand for it. So I'm going to make it a little bit less dense as we move out here. All right, and then while that's getting settled in, I'm going to go across the river and I'm going to go into here and see if I can start zoning a little bit. I think I'm just going to make more residential areas over here because we definitely have the demand for it. I want to make a lot of residential areas over here. So let's just continue that. All right, so now I believe we do actually have to worry about education. Yeah, we need an elementary school. And like I said, this can fit right here. I think I'm going to go with the small elementary school, mostly because between these two, this one costs 12,000 a month and this one's just 5,000, meaning we can upgrade this or replace it entirely if we'd like. All right, and then to get a high school in, I like the Southwest high schools and the elementary school. Really, both these schools are really great. I like how realistic it is. Like its size, it just feels right. So maybe this would be something that we would want to place over here, or maybe we could redo the whole idea of this being a park and find a way to place this in here. But I don't know about that. While I do really appreciate this school and its looks and its, realism, I think that, a school of this size would probably have a smaller building. I mean, the building itself isn't that big. I think that this building would fit nice along one of those roads in here, so let's do that. So I want to keep the original grid size that we have going on. So that's the 88 by 120. And I think I want to have it curving around the coast, sort of like that. Just like that. All right, I like how this looks. All right, I think I'd like to make a grid over here as well. But I also want to make sure that these are 120 meters apart. So I'm gonna start right here. That's 88. And just go 120. There we go. All right, and then the last thing to do would be to fix this road right here, because if anything, it should be one of these roads. So I think I'm gonna fix that. All right, now it does curve a little bit. However, I think I can deal with that. It just adds character. All right, now making a grid over here is gonna be a little bit difficult, basically just because, we have a curved road. However, I think I'd like to plan where the high school is going to go first, and then we could probably build around it. I think I'm going to go right here. And I know that this is obviously going to be in the water. I think I'm just going to see if I can reclaim some of this area. Now I just need to link up everything. I have a suburban road that I've made, and if you want to look at this inside of Road Builder, it is just a sidewalk that is small, and basically we got rid of parking. I'm going to have this come in along here. All right, my plan is for me to have some maybe more sport stuff along this road back here. And then I'm gonna see if I can put a, retention pond in here because it's suburban. And then I'm gonna see if maybe I could fit more parking in here. I may have to use custom things so it can actually fit in this small spot, but we'll see what's needed. Really quickly though, I am just gonna get some electricity flowing through here. I think I'm just gonna upgrade this right here to become a, 4-lane road. While it would technically probably be cheaper to do this with a 1-lane road, like in the real world, I would imagine that maybe they would be planning for future development or something like that and allow this to be built with 4 lanes. All right, and then the reason why this isn't turning on is because there's a little highway segment right here. We'll get into detailing a little bit later. And then I think I'm gonna have it get a little bit more rural, kind of like I tried to do over here, except I'm gonna actually go through with it. Oh, now we have to deal with fire, police, and I believe that's actually it. All right, I think I want to recreate this. I think I'm gonna use my development point to get advanced road services. This doesn't feel right. Let's take 120 of this and let's go into here. All right, and then a little bit more for over here. That was a lot of work for a lot of nothing. Do I want to have this connect some way? I need to find out something to do with this because I don't like the way all of these roads are here right now. I feel like this should be at a node. Um, let's see what I can do. Okay, this is a little bit better, but we still really have no, great connection into this area. All right, I think I'm gonna take this and have it just go into this road up here. All right, I really like to have these into highways. However, if I put farms on them, they won't be able to support like electricity and stuff. So I have these roads that I've made. These are highway-like roads. They act like highways, except they can support electricity and water. So just to make it fair, I'm going to buy the highways, just so it's, a bit more realistic. However, I'm going to be using these. All right, I think I like how this is looking at the moment. So let's get a little bit more zoning in there. I'd like to start by putting fire down and police. I think that the best one will be something small until we can upgrade later. This is acting as an arterial, so I don't want it exactly on it. It may not be one now, but it hopefully will be one soon. All right, I'm deciding between the regular firehouse and the Southwest firehouse, and they're the exact same. They have the exact same features. I think I'm gonna go with the Southwest, and I'm gonna place this over here. And then let's get the police station in. And then I think that just the typical small police station will fit this area quite well. All right, this is looking good. And now I think it's time to zone this a little bit. So let's once again start off by making sure that nobody can get on this part right here. And I think that's good. I don't think there is much to do in the first place. And then we can just add houses. All right, and then I think we have this little house, and I think this would look good right here. Yeah, I think this little area would look best. I like changing the names just a period because it makes it hard to see. Over here, I'm just going to do some grain because we have quite a bit of fertile land. And then I'm going to do a few more rural houses over here. That way the difference between the suburban area and the rural area is not so abrupt. And then while we're here, I'm going to get a little bit of a parking lot set in and then that retention pond. I'm scared I'm going to flood everything. And it seems to all be working fine. Yep, perfect. All right, let's get this parking lot in. I kind of want to match the theme, so let's see if I can do that. Alright, then I can use some of the invisible car paths, that way they can actually get in here. So I'm gonna take the pedestrian ones as well. Yeah, that's what I'm supposed to use. And I'm gonna make this one way, if possible. Over here, I will be doing two-way, that way it just fits better, or you can actually get access back here. And then last but not least, I'm just gonna connect this path. I don't know what this is doing there. There's like a weird path. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can get rid of that. All right, and that is looking good, in my opinion. I'm just gonna remove some of this stuff, that way it's not in the way of the road. And there we go. All right, then I'm just gonna add some trees and fix up some of this stuff so it doesn't look so odd. All right, and then usually industrial places will have like trees that are always green to make sure that it can pretty much always be hidden. So I'm gonna do a pretty thick layer of that. And then I'm just gonna put this around the farms. That way it protects them and keeps them a little safe at least. Okay, I'm just realizing that I forgot to put some zoning here. So I'm gonna get rid of this up here. That way I can put some low density commercial. And then additionally, I also don't have any here, so I'm just gonna put that right there and along here. And then back here, I'm gonna put some residential buildings. I would give this elementary school a park, however, I do not have access to that yet, and I am losing money pretty fast. For that reason, I'm gonna build a little bit more medium density. I'm just gonna use anarchy and I'm just gonna fill in these spaces just to make it look a lot more full. Already you can see a pretty big difference from this to this. it just looks a lot nicer. Alright, that is one half done. Let's move to the other half. Finally, I want to make this church just feel a little bit more special. Something that would look nice in this community. Therefore, I'm going to take the fence and I'm going to make the church just a little bit bigger. Alright, so never mind on that. I actually cannot move the fence. For that reason, I am going to add a little bit of parking though. I want to make this area just a little bit more special. I'm also removing all the stoplights because, frankly, they are not necessary in a town like this. However, once traffic increases, I could definitely see me removing or adding stoplights. I'm also going to get rid of parking on this road because it was typically you would not find parking here. Also, if you're wondering why I'm paused, it is because we are losing money quickly. Alright, this fence here is more just for decoration than it is purpose because it's not really keeping anybody out of anything except for the parking lot. If you want to see more Plan Build Play It content, make sure to click the subscribe button. And if you would like to see us fix the economy, make sure to click the like button too. Last but not least, thank you for watching.